Today we have Dr. Toyin with us. She's kindly agreed to come on and share her dental journey and tell us the realities of being a dentist and all that she's been involved with. I'm Dr. Arnold. Welcome to Lancashire Smiles. Do make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. But thank you, Dr. Toyin, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I like to start with the question, why did you want to become a dentist? What interested you about the career?
To be honest, I don't think my reasoning is conventional. I was never one of those people that thought, oh my gosh, I want to be a dentist from day one. I didn't actually want to even consider medicine. I was very against becoming a doctor. I was really passionate about maths and thought I would be going down a career pathway that involved lots of calculations. And it was actually a maths tutor that I had that recommended it. It was really random. He just said one day, why don't you consider dentistry? Because at that time, it was, I think, GCSE times. I still was not sure which direction to go in, and just randomly came up with that suggestion, and that automatically I said, no way, no thank you. And it was only a few months into sixth form that I thought, okay, I don't actually know what I want to do. And that's when I did the work experience and in a local practice. And literally after that, I was obsessed. I was like, this is definitely what I want to do. I love the balance between being creative, having to problem solve, and just being in an environment that's hands-on with a patient. And from that moment, there was no stopping me.
So did you have family members that were able to direct you through the application process? Was anybody in the family within dentistry, or was it starting from scratch?
So at that time, in fact, to date, I'm still the only doctor in the family. So there was no dentists that I knew, there was no doctors. And I just went to a local Roman Catholic girls' school. So there was no kind of extracurricular activities or opportunities to actually be exposed to dental or medical professionals. So it was very much, I was just walking alone. But the good thing about the environment I was in, there was a couple of girls who were really interested in medicine. So we kind of took it on board to was on this mission to get into the career choice that we wanted, although we didn't really have any guidance from any professionals in that field. So it was very, I wouldn't say difficult, because I'm the type of person, if there's a challenge, I think bring it on, I'm going to rise to the occasion. So for me, I just was very, very, very determined, and I was a bit fearless at the time. So I thought, well, there's nothing to lose here.
Yeah. Were you a straight A student? Was it easy for exams, getting the results? What would you say was the challenge for you in terms of getting into dentistry, or was there a challenge?
Well, I think my journey is quite an interesting one. So naturally, I would say that I was very talented and very academic. I really enjoyed studying. Maths was my favourite subject. I loved the sciences, other than physics. And throughout secondary school, it was no problem getting high grades. And I made a decision, actually, thinking that A levels would be very similar to GCSEs. In terms of, I never felt like I had to really, really push myself or challenge myself to get good grades at GCSE. But when it came to A levels, it was a completely different story. I actually left my secondary school, and I went to a mixed college, and it was a completely different environment to what I was used to. So in that environment, I was completely distracted, and actually I didn't do very well there. So first time round of A levels, I failed, miserably failed. And so I made a decision very quickly to go back to my sixth form, because then I realized it was the environment that I put myself in that led me to be distracted. So going
So
back to my,
when you say failed miserably, so is that because you knew the grades you needed to get onto dentistry, or how
oh,
did you know that it was
complete,
that?
complete failure.
Yeah.
Being a very straight A student originally, when I told my mum I failed, she thought maybe she got some B's. Um, yeah, I got two D's and two E's.
Oh wow.
And that was just very, very ridiculous, because I knew that was not my potential. And I
Mm.
knew that the fact was I was in a different environment, completely distracted. So I decided to go back to my sixth form. I didn't tell anyone, I just made that decision. And then I went back to my sixth form. And within that time, I'd done the work experience in a dental practice. So when I was going back to my sixth form, I was going with the mindset that I'm going to do dentistry and nothing's going to stop me.
All right. So how did things progress when you moved to sixth form?
I would say very, very smoothly, because I realized that I had a lot of potential and I just needed to apply myself and focus. And going from a large mixed sixth form where there was so many things going on, you could just not turn up for lessons, or it was very much independent. Going back to the sixth form, it provided a lot more structure. It was still very
Yeah.
independent in terms of none of the tutors or anyone I knew really how I could get into dental school. And in fact, there was a lot of discouragement about me applying for dentistry, because I didn't have an A for physics. I had a B. I think that was my only B, and it was physics. So looking at the criteria, I didn't meet it, but I was just very brave and decided I'm going to still apply. I know the criteria has changed and it's a lot higher now, but back then, yeah, I didn't meet the grades based on that. But what I knew was I had a very good work ethic. I could really apply myself through volunteering and lots of extracurricular activities
Yeah.
to really showcase my transferable skills. And so that was what I really focused on, as well
Yeah.
as achieving the grades that I could in terms of that at A level.
So what are some of
And it
those
worked.
specifics about the extracurricular that you were getting involved in that really enhanced your application?
Okay, so I would say I did lots of different types of work experience. So I was volunteering in an elderly home, elderly care home, and it was just mainly visiting. It wasn't like I was working there or anything like that, but going there regularly. I was mentoring secondary school students after school.
Yeah.
I had done numerous hours of volunteering through different things, which I can't remember at the moment because it seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
But I remember literally after school, there would always be something that I'm doing. I was involved in event planning, fundraising, and with all of these things, I was able to document what
Mm.
what difference I'd made. So whether with fundraising, I was able to say how much I raised, what the money was used for. Um, and I think what helped my application was the fact that I was working. So I was working in Waitrose supermarket,
Yeah.
and being that it was quite an affluent demographic of customers that I'd serve, I really understood what good customer service was. I understood therefore I felt that I would know what good patient care meant. And I was very honest in my personal statement. I knew my strengths, and that was my people skills and my work ethic.
Yeah.
And I really played to those strengths, and it really worked.
And in terms of the once you had applied, what were the responses you got? Did you get all 4 interviews? Did you get some of the interviews? How did that go for you?
So I remember that, and it was a really interesting time because I was like told by my school, sixth form at the time, don't apply, you don't have the grades. And I was like, I'm going to do this. So I applied to 4 dental schools: Queen Mary, King's, Leeds, and Manchester. And at the time of applying, I remember Manchester was first in the rank. So the first place I heard from was Queen Mary, and they rejected me without even offering me an interview. And it was funny because that was when I went to see the dental schools. That was the only place I just didn't feel it was for me.
Yeah.
So then I was a bit disappointed, but I thought I didn't want to go there anyway. And I was fortunate enough to get interviews with all 3 other dental schools and offers. So I was really pleased with that. And
Yeah.
at the time, King's College was literally down the road from where I live. It was about a 15-minute walk.
Okay.
And I got in, but I chose the University of Manchester just because of the fact that at the time it was first ranked, and I just felt like, okay, that makes sense. But also growing up in a lower working class background, it was, although King's is quite central, around it, some of the areas can be quite rough. And growing up in that type of environment, I felt that for me to really focus and thrive and not feel that I'm in this strange bubble of walking through rough areas, yet my dental school is just down the road, I just felt it would be too much for me and I wanted a fresh start. So I'd say those are the 2 reasons that drove me to choose Manchester instead of King's.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a drastic decision to decide to retake a year at college. I don't think there are many people that I know that would just say, you know what, I'm just going to change college, sixth form, start again because I know I can do better. I don't know, would you say you know what it was about yourself that gave you the confidence and even the idea to do something like that? And instead of just saying, I'll try and do better in second year, or I'll just retake it and stay in the same college.
I think it's because I knew my potential and I knew I'd let myself down by being. I think for me, it was just a case of a new, exciting place to be in a sixth form, and I just got carried away with the fun and the freedom in that environment. But even within that, actually, even in the sixth form, um, I was very good at maths. I was very good at sciences. I was very keen. I was very interested. It was just a case of not applying myself when it came to the exam. So I knew my potential,
Yeah.
and I just thought, you can do better, especially
Yeah.
with with GCSEs. I felt like I could have applied myself more there, and I still got good grades. So I thought it would be silly for me to make life harder for myself by just trying to make up for so much in the second year, when
Yeah.
if I start again in a new environment that I know that I work well in, and I really push myself, then there's nothing to stop me
Yeah.
achieving what I really want to.
Yeah, no, it's an inspiration for somebody that might be not performing as well as they think they can at college, um, and I guess it says something as well about not taking your grades to heart and letting that define you, because certain people will get grades and think that you know they failed, they're a failure, and just take that on board for the rest of their lives. But I guess it highlights the importance of having encouraging people around you as well that can encourage you to try again and to try and do better.
Definitely. And I'd also add to that, just believing in yourself, because there are various reasons for failure. And it's not always a case of you're not good enough.
Hmm.
There's always, I think I'm quite a reflective person. So when you reflect on failure, it's an opportunity for growth. As long as you believe in yourself and you know your true potential, it's just about navigating through that uncomfortable period to,
Yeah.
to, to grow through it.
Yeah. How was the dental school experience for you? Did you enjoy it? Did you find it difficult? Was it stressful? What was that like for you in Manchester?
I am, disclaimer, I'm definitely not your average dental student. I've had a very interesting journey through dental school. But on the other side of it, it's definitely made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So leaving London and moving to Manchester was quite exciting. And I didn't know anyone in Manchester. I had no family. I just decided this is where I'm going and I'm going to make the most of it. So when I got into dental school and I met my classmates or year group, um, at first I was really excited and I was really keen, really keen, because I felt that I had worked so hard in terms of my application, getting into dental school. And I felt that, coming from an environment where I was used to being a high achiever, I thought I'd naturally thrive in that new environment. But I quickly realized that the year that I was in was very much, everyone was quite cliquey. So everyone had their groups. And in my mind, I had this silly assumption that somehow everybody had gone to a private school. I'm coming from a lower working class background. I really thought that I just felt like I didn't fit in. And at the back of my mind, I still knew my potential. So I would try and apply myself. I was so keen. I would go every day after school, straight to the library. I had the most beautifully presented notes. And I got through first year fine. And it was a case of, there were so many things that were going on that were not related to dentistry that made me struggle in that environment. I had underlying health issues that I didn't know about. I was in a new environment alone and I felt like I didn't fit in. So first year, managed to get through fine. By second year, I was really feeling like something's not quite right here. And by third year, I felt really disconnected from my year group.
Yeah.
And I never once felt like it was anybody else's fault but mine. But in that environment, I just disengaged. I was still going to all my classes and doing everything, but actually, um, when it came to exams, I didn't apply myself that much. I just felt very much unmotivated. So actually failed my OSCE by 1 mark in third year.
Okay.
And rather than revising for my OSCE, you've only failed by 1 mark, you can do much better. I hadn't even fully applied myself when applying, when revising for that year. But I didn't revise. I didn't tell anyone that I failed. I'd go to the library. I think I was at the point of just being so overwhelmed by this different environment and feeling disconnected that I just sat in the library over summer and I didn't revise. So I think in my mind, I hadn't acknowledged it, but I gave up. And so that meant I failed and I had to restart third year. And actually that was the best thing that ever happened in dental school, because I felt like I fitted in so much better into the year below. They were so nice and welcoming. I found my own little clique. I felt like I finally belonged in a group. And it was just great. I felt re-energized and motivated to really just apply myself. So third year, part 2,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. But by fourth year, the health issues started to play up really quite bad. So throughout dental school, I was working in Waitrose in Manchester, just outside Manchester, part-time. And I decided in fourth year, let's change jobs. I'll work in the Manchester airport instead. And I remember on the day of doing the training, I randomly collapsed and I didn't know what happened. I just collapsed. I fainted. They took me to hospital. They said everything was fine. And then on my way home, the same thing happened again. It was really bizarre. So I think this was about, it must have been around summer, when you're just preparing for the exams, but you're still in clinics. Maybe it was about March of fourth year, I'd say. So yeah, that was the beginning of what was a horrible series of random fainting episodes. And nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew why I was fainting. I'd go to the doctors. I had so many scans. I don't know. I was just fainting all over the place, to the point where I was told by the head of the year that it wasn't safe for me to be on clinics anymore. So I couldn't see any patients. I couldn't complete my cases. Yeah, it was quite difficult because I just didn't know what was going on. Somehow, I still took my exams that year, including the OSCE, and I passed everything. So that was fourth year. And yeah, so I was like, I don't know what happened. And going back to London over summer really helped, being around my friends and family, getting lots of rest. That helped me become stronger, and over time the fainting stopped. Okay. Nobody diagnosed it as anything, but I think it was probably severe anxiety, and that had probably accumulated through the years of being in dental school and actually not feeling like I had enough support. So I overcame that. And then final year, I'm really excited about the opportunity to really just work hard, get the grades, and get my job. Yeah. And when I was applying for the national recruitment process for dental foundation training, I was so determined. I worked so hard. I did so many revision sessions with friends. We did group sessions, we practiced. And on the day of the interview, I was so ill. I still went in, I did the SJT, and I think I did well on the SJT and every other part. But when it came to one particular station with a patient, the anxiety kicked in and I was already feeling sick. I don't even actually remember what I said, but it did not go well. I did pitifully, to the point where I wasn't offered a job. And everyone thought that, with dental recruitment, you would always be offered a place through clearing or through the second round. And I knew how badly I did. So I knew that I wasn't going to get a job graduating from dental school. And we found out, I think, a few months before finals. So in the back of my mind, I'm, preparing for the final exams, knowing that I'm the only one who doesn't have a job at the end of this. But I carried on. I got the grades, I passed, and I remember even trying to find different ways to secure a job. By the end of foundation training. I even considered doing foundation training in Malaysia. I had asked the dental school, can I stay on? They said, no, why don't you consider restarting the year instead? I said, number one, I can't afford to pay for another year of dental school, but also I know my potential. I know I'm a good dentist. I know things have not gone to plan, but I believe in myself, and I know that I can qualify and I can get the grades to pass. So no thank you, but no thank you. I will not take up that offer. So I graduated, and then I moved back to London, and then I decided that I would work as a locum hygienist, and it was safe to do so. I'd gone and spoken to my indemnity provider. I think I even contacted, I asked so many people, is it okay coming out of dental school to work as a hygienist? Yes. And so many different practices within London, the best practices, really dodgy practices. And actually that was the best way I could have ever started as a dentist, because in that time I really learned to take ownership of the dental environment that I'm in. I connected amazingly with patients. It really grew my confidence and my communication skills. And it was a fantastic way to make money so early on after qualifying. And it also gave me the flexibility to be able to still prepare for the interviews again. So
So you were
considering my
able to apply for that interview process the following year or a few months
yeah,
later?
it was pretty much the following year from when you would do it
Okay.
in year 5. To be fair, it's all a blank now, so I can't remember exactly when that was. But I remember I was going to apply for the March starts. So rather than starting in September, I think it doesn't exist anymore. But at that time, you could apply to start 6 months earlier than everybody else as a VT. So a foundation dentist. So that was in my mind what I was going for. And there was a place in London, and there was a place somewhere really far. I can't remember where it was. So I applied and I did much better. I got my first choice. I think I got in the top hundreds for the interviews then. And yeah, so I got the job that I wanted, and that was
Yeah.
literally 20 minutes from my house in London. So to be fair, even though it was a very difficult time, I probably wouldn't have got the job in that foundation practice, which has been so fundamental to my career to date. So
Yeah.
in a way, everything has worked out, but it has been the most. It's been a difficult journey,
Yeah.
but I remember I always used to be so surprised working as a foundation dentist. How comes dental school was so difficult if being a dentist is actually so fun and so much easier?
Yeah.
That's just my experience of dental school. I know it's
Yeah.
definitely not the norm.
It sounds like for you, knockbacks were actually a setup. You know, the
Yes.
knockback of college meant that you were able to move and get into dental school. The
Yeah.
knockbacks at dental school meant you're able to join up with another cohort of students and
Yeah.
actually thrive in that. The knockback of not getting into the national recruitment scheme the first time meant that you could work as a hygiene. Was it therapist or hygienist?
I just kept it simple, hygienist, because it was the same pay. I just thought
Yeah.
I've
So
been through enough.
you managed to work that, I think 6 months
Yeah.
in that role, and it only delayed you starting the foundation scheme by 6 months. Would it be that you'd have delayed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turned out into strengths, really, things that strengthened you.
Yeah. The unconventional route.
Yeah, I've never heard it that way before. Definitely a first. But what we'll do is, if you guys want to continue hearing about how Dr. Toyin then got to where she is now, catch us in video 2. So make sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and you'll find us at the next video. So thank you for this so far, Dr. Toyin.
That is fine. You're welcome.